Hello guys and welcome back. In this video we are going to continue with the claim and withdraw token functions. So I'm going to say public entry function and we are going to call it claim tokens. We are going to have the signer as the parameter. We will have the admin address and yep, that will be all. We are going to say it acquires vault and vault signer capability. So the first part is going to be same. Now the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to check if we have the allocation. Now for that I'm going to say assert and we are going to say table contains vault dot allocations and account address. And if we cannot find it, we will say no allocation. Here we are checking if this table contains this address. So if contains this address, then it means that we have allocation for this account address. And if we cannot find it, we are going to return this error here. So this account is the account that is trying to claim the tokens. And this admin address is the address of the admin that we use to retrieve the vault's address. Now let's continue with by saying this amount. So we are going to actually remove the amount from the table. I'm going to say table remove. Here we will say vault.allocations. This is the table that we want to work with. And this is the key that we want to remove. This remove function from the table is going to remove this account address from this vault.allocations table. But after doing this, it's going to return us the value that it has removed. And that's why we have this let amount on the left hand side. Now we got the value. We will say assert vault.total balance is bigger or equal to the amount. If not, we are going to say insufficient balance. We already need to have this much of a token to actually give it, so that we are checking if the total amount is bigger or equal to the amount that we want to claim. Now we are going to say vault.total allocated is equal to vault.total allocated minus amount. So we are decrementing the amount and we are saying vault.total balance is equal to vault.total balance minus amount. Now we are going to create the vault signer, and for this we need the signer cap. Let's say that vault signer cap is equal to the, let's say, arrow global as we did before. We will say vault signer capability, admin address, and finally cap. Now let's say vault signer. Now we are going to create the vault signer. We will say account create signer with capability, and we are going to pass the vault signer cap. Now that we have created this vault signer, we can actually make the transfer and use this vault signer to sign this transaction. But first, we need to actually make sure that this account is also registered in Aptos. I will say if coin is now we had made the same check as we did in here. So here we also checked if the account is registered, and we actually forgot this semicolon at the end. In move, you need to put semicolon even if it's an if statement. Now we did the same thing here. We checked if this account is already registered, and if not, we registered the account. Now we are going to say coin transfer. We want to transfer Aptos coin. We are going to pass the vault signer, account address, and finally the amount. Transferring from this signer to this account address, and we want to transfer this much of an amount. And finally we will say event, emit event, let's say mutable vault dot allocation claimed events, and we are going to create this allocation claimed event. For the address we are going to pass the account address, and for the amount we are going to just say amount. Now if we take a quick look, we have this account and admin address. This account is the one who is trying to retrieve tokens, and this admin address we use it to get the vault. We set acquires vault and vault signer capability because during this function we are going to retrieve them from the global storage, and we need to let this function know. So in this part we got the vault, and here we checked if we have the allocation for this account so that it can actually claim this allocation. And after that we removed this allocation from the table, and this removing operation actually returns us the allocation which we store as the amount. And then we checked if we have enough in our balance so that we can actually pay this. We updated the vault that total allocated and total balance by decrementing the amount. And then we created our vault signer. First of all, we got our signer cap from the admin address because admin address had this object which had the cap. And through this cap, we actually created the signer so that we can now sign the transaction. We check if this account is registered so that it can transfer coins. If this is the case, we don't have any problem, but if it's not registered, then we register it in this line. And finally, we transfer the coins using Vault Signer, and we emit our event. And this will be our claim tokens function. The next function will be withdraw tokens. We will have the admin as the signer, and we will have the amount, which will be U64. We are going to say it acquires vault and vault signer capability. Now the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to retrieve the vault. Now we are going to check if the vault.admin is actually our admin address, not the admin, because admin is the signer and we want to compare it with the address. We are going to say admin address, and if this is not the case, we are going to return not admin. And then we will say let available balance, it will be equal to vault total balance minus vault dot total allocated. We said that we don't want owner to actually withdraw the allocated tokens. That's why we are creating this available balance so that we can have this difference, and that's the part that actually admin can withdraw. Now we are going to create the vault signer cap. It is the same as before. We are getting this cap here, and through this cap we are creating this vault signer. Now we are going to make the transfer, but before the transfer we also need to make one more check. So here we are going to check if the available balance is more or equal to amount. If not, we are going to say insufficient balance, because we want to withdraw the amount, but it shouldn't be more than the available balance. Now we are going to say coin transfer. We want to transfer Aptos coin. We want to transfer it from vault signer to admin address, and we want to transfer this much of an amount. And finally, we are going to say emit event, Now, if we take a quick look, we got the vault and we checked if the signer is the admin. We got the available balance and we checked if we have enough balance to give the amount. And here we checked if we have enough balance to give the amount. And then we created the vault signer. We transfer the coin and we emit the event. As you can see, the more functions we add, the more repetitive it gets. Basically, what we are doing, we are retrieving the vault. We are checking conditions to make operations, and then we update the data on the vault. If we make a transfer, we make the transfer, and finally we emit the event. And that will be all for the entry functions and for this video. And in the next video, we are going to create the view functions. And with this view functions, we will be able to retrieve data from this contract. So thank you very much for listening to me, and I will see you on the next one.